What is up, everyone? Tim Anderson here, aka Renfail, and welcome back to another one of our Solasta guides here on YouTube. This one is a special request after somebody recently came and said, hey, what about the backgrounds that you come across during character creation? Because I did the ultimate character creation video. Now, I'm still working on the class guide and the race guide for Solasta, but in the meantime, I was like, you know what, that's a really good idea. I'll come in and do an ultimate background guide here for those of you who are interested in what's the best background to pick when you're choosing your character in Solasta Crown of the Magister. Now, if you've never played this game before, this is like the ultimate 5th edition game where you can come in and play a very D&D styled game set within the original world that is Solasta, which Tactical Adventures put together based off of a Kickstarter a few years ago. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, I played the entirety of Crown of the Magister when it launched. I've made a ton of videos since then. We're currently working our way through the through the Lost Valley expansion. I almost said Palace of Ice. That's the one that's coming up in May of 2023, and we're prepping for that one. So in the meantime, we're doing a series of videos around character creation and what might be the best builds for you to go through Crown of the Magister and the Lost Valley. So without further ado, let's get into the best backgrounds that you might want to choose for your character in Solasta Crown of the Magister. Now, before we get going, as always, if this is your first time here, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update so that you can continually get this great content from Solasta and other things that I do. Don't forget to check out the other playlists. I play a lot of RPGs, MMORPGs, tabletop games, and beyond, console games. I play a little bit of everything. Plus, we do reviews for books, films, TV shows, and so on and so forth. Support if you can. Memberships on the channel, super chats on premieres and live streams, super thanks on uploads and YouTube shorts. Don't forget the Patreon page where we have our own video game, as well as a tabletop game and a fantasy book series. All right, let's dive in. So we'll go in alphabetical order because that's the way things are listed here. And you're going to notice right off the bat that some of these backgrounds have an eye icon over them. And it says this additional background is not associated with any specific quest line in the main Crown of the Magister campaign. What that simply means is that it's a roleplay option that won't necessarily impact any of the storyline options that you have with dialogue and stuff, whereas other ones like the academic, the acolyte, so on and so forth, may have an impact on dialogue options and the way people treat you in the game based on what you come from and what your background is. So that's something to pay attention to, because if you want that little extra roleplay flavor, you want to make sure you pick the ones that don't have the I button. That being said, these may have bonuses that you want to dive into, like the artist or the occultist. They may have bonuses that you want, so pay attention to that. Also, the Wanderer is with the Primal Calling DLC. So if you don't have that, you won't have access to the Wanderer background, which unlocks the Barbarian and Druid character classes and the Half-Orc Ancestry and the Wanderer background. That was from the Primal Calling DLC, which you can use in any adventure. Anyway, let's dive into things here. So the academic, if you look here, it says you had 2 passions growing up, history and magic. Your teachers saw your interest and ensured that your potential was nurtured. Your mission in life is to discover the secrets of the past, both magical and mundane, so you took your backpack and set out to discover the wonders of Solasta for yourself. Now, if we click on this, you're going to notice that we immediately get a description on the right-hand side with a whole bunch of information here. So first and foremost, we get the actual name of it and the background features. So you get a bookworm feature, which means you're proficient with Arcana, Nature, and Insight. But you also have Runaway Antiquarian, which means you still have ties to the antiquarians and your relationship with them is good. So this is one of those things that plays into the intellectual property that they have created with Solastas. That the antiquarians are a faction in the game, and if you choose the academic background, you're going to have a good faction with the antiquarians, which will affect your conversations with them. You get a notebook, 15 gold pieces, commoner's clothing, and you get these background personality flags. Now, there's also, if you've never done the personality flags, by the way, these just impact how your character talks to people in the game. Basically, it's your overall personality. So you would choose these, and if you double down on these, it sort of impacts you even more. But it's really just role play flavor from here. Now, all of these are going to have different pros and cons. So what you really want to focus on with the backgrounds is saying, what do I need for my class? So for example, for the dummy class that I created for this particular build, just to get into the background, I chose a human ranger. Now, the human ranger more than likely is going to want to choose something like the wanderer or the sellsword background, possibly even the spy. Let's look at those for a minute. The sellsword, proficient with athletics and intimidation. The spy, stealth and deception. And the wanderer, survival and nature. So that's just something to keep in mind, is that one of the things with the backgrounds is that the background features that you get will give you proficiency with things that will help give you bonuses in your chosen class. That being said, let's go back to the alphabetic breakdown here. The acolyte is proficient with religion and nature and insight. It's usually a good choice for someone who's going to be a priest. Also a druid, I have found. Usually it's really good. Beyond that, you get proficiency with an herbalism kit, and you get an additional language, which is helpful. The aesthetic, I don't know how to pronounce that. You get additional language, proficiency with survival and insight, and proficiency with an herbalism kit. You also get some bonus crafting recipes here. Ingredients, I should say. The abyss moss, blood daffodil, and and an herbalism kit. The aristocrat, you get a sigil ring, which is a ring bearing the arms of your noble family, marking you as a member. You're proficient with history, persuasion, and intimidation, and you get a couple of additional language. Plus, you get 80 gold pieces to start, which is a pretty big difference compared to the others that get like 15 gold. The artist background also gets a little extra gold. You get 25 gold, bronze statuette, which we can take. It's an option that you can sell at a shop for 35 gold. There's also a canceled contract. He said, an old piece of paper of no value. You used to think that this was your career breakthrough, but after a stroke of bad luck, the contract was canceled. You only keep it to remember never to miss another chance. Additional language plus proficiency with persuasion, deception, and performance. Then we get into the lawkeeper. Only 10 gold pieces. Ugh. Not supposed to wear it anymore, but this badge was once a symbol of your authority as a law enforcement deputy, but you're no longer there. Proficient with martial weapons, 1 additional language, proficiency with perception and intimidation. Low life is going to be good if you're going to be a thief character. Proficiency with stealth, sleight of hand, and deception, and thieves' tools. No additional coin, so bear that in mind, but you do get some thieves' tools at your disposal. Small file, set of lockpicks, and a small mirror mounted on a metal handle, set of narrow-bladed scissors or pair of pliers useful to disarming traps and opening locks. Meanwhile, the occultist is proficient with arcana and deception, as well as a scroll kit. You get an additional language. You have an old notebook reminding you that the world is full of mysteries just waiting to be revealed, and a scroll kit plus 25 gold. The philosopher has proficiency with medicine and persuasion, herbalism kit. You get a crafting starter pack, 25 gold, a couple of additional languages. The sellsword, athletics and intimidation, medium armor, 1 additional language, military campaign ribbon, marking your days as a sword for hire, only 10 gold though. The spy, this is a fun one. Stealth, deception, nature, and a nature and poisoner's kit, 2 additional language. And as a spy cipher, you learn a number of codes used by intelligence organizations in the Eastern Kingdom and are able to decipher most of them. And this can come in handy with some of the little background things you'll come across in the game, so I'll help you with the roles to kind of understand what's going on in the background if you come across sneaky spy stuff. You also get a poisoner's kit, and a manual for basic poison, thieves' tools, and 25 gold. And then finally, the wanderer, which gives you proficiency with survival and nature, smith's tools and herbalism, an explorer's patch, a torch, herbalism kit, commoner's clothing. So all of these have, right off the bat, the basic proficiency that you get, some bonuses, different types of gold and background equipment. But you will notice also that the personality flags do change. Not the additional ones per se, but the initial 2 that you choose are going to change. So pragmatism, lawfulness, greed, or egoism for academic. The acolyte's lawfulness, altruism, caution, or violence, so on and so forth. So once you have chosen the background that you want to choose if I was doing this for real, I would take that ranger. I would probably click the wanderer, and I would say, I'm going to say egoism. I tend to put myself, friends, and family first at the expense of others, probably more than likely. And then we'll double down on, we get to choose two. That and pragmatism. And probably down here, we will choose pragmatism again. And lawfulness, more than likely. We might just go with altruism. And then you would click next, and we would go from here and do your stats rolls. So, bearing in mind that the backgrounds have no influence whatsoever on your stats. This is all about the proficiencies. So if we were to carry this forward, how does this influence... let's just put those there. Now, once you get into here, you'll go into your skills. You'll notice that your proficiencies have already had these bonuses loaded in because of our background. So you'll notice that we already automatically have those bonuses from our the combinations here are combinations of your race, class, history, background, and so on and so forth. Those impact the pre-existing bonuses that you have here, as well as what languages you have, and then from here you can add to it. So in this case, we would be able to add additional class skills on top of the ones that we got from our backgrounds. So in this case, let's go back here real quick. We are getting proficiency with survival and nature, so we're going to notice that reflected in these here. So having a +1 to nature right there, and right there. So we'll be able to go from there. Animal handling, and notice it says that the part of the rule set invalid for roleplay purposes. The element is not used in Crown of the Magister main campaign, so just keep in mind. Anyway, you can add to your bonuses here if you want to, with your class skills. Choose to go auto from there. But that's really it in essence. The backgrounds are more than anything else are sort of like flavor, and of course they do give you the bonuses to proficiencies. But the most important thing beyond here is, what do you want to get out of your backgrounds? Are you doing them for roleplay purposes, or are you really after that metagame for the min-max character and influencing your proficiency to the best possible? It's also important to note that if you want somebody who's going to be able to have the most conversation options in the game, then choosing one that has the most amount of free languages or additional languages is going to be key. Because you do have a limitation of how many languages you can speak, and while different characters in your party can speak different languages, which is one of these ones that has like a whole bunch. Okay, so like the philosopher, 2 additional languages here. That's really key because you can get in here. Let's just choose these 2 really quick. I want to skip forward and show you guys. We have to go through this here. So the languages here, these are all the languages that you could speak. Now, the ones that have an I next to them, it says part of the rule set, but not part of the storyline. However, depending on which one of the campaigns you're playing, it will give you a pop-up that says, this is not used in the Crown of Magister main campaign, but it is used in the Lost Valley DLC. So depending on what campaign you're playing, some of these languages may be more important than other ones. So for example, Giant doesn't matter in Crown of the Magister, but if you're playing Lost Valley, it is, because you can actually do quests for the giants. So you would want to choose Giant as a language if you wanted to be able to do the quests for the giants. Otherwise, you can't even talk to them. So pay attention to that when you're choosing your backgrounds, because it may impact the languages that you want. And that's also very true depending on if you're creating your characters from scratch or using some of the pre-built characters. Each character in your party, you have 4 characters in total. Each character can have a different amount of languages. So it really does behoove you to spread them out so that if you're strategic in how you do your character creation, you can hit most of the languages in between the character backgrounds and their basic racial languages. You should be able to cover most of your bases, but that's just another food for thought when it comes to the backgrounds. So hopefully that answers all the questions for the backgrounds in Solasta, Crown of the Magister, and also any of the follow-up campaigns you might be playing. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. And stick around for all the other Solasta videos we have on the channel and we will be producing as we continue to play. Plus, check out the play streams and live streams and episodes that we produce for all the campaigns that we're playing through. Support if you can. I get to stay on the air full time because of the support of our wonderful, amazing community members. You can do super chats on these premieres and live streams. You can do super thanks on uploads and YouTube shorts. You can also join as a member here on YouTube. There's 3 different tiers of membership. Plus, we have a Patreon page where my wife and brother and I have a video game, a tabletop game, and a fantasy book series. There's a Discord. Links are all down below. So check all these things out, and I will see everybody in the next episode. So until then, stay safe. Happy gaming.